channel. My name is Nurfatin Shameera binti Azim.
Hi guys, my name is Muliani Aina binti Marzuki, but you can call me Yani. See you after this.
Hi guys, my name is Sarina Wahyuni binti Junaidi.
Hello everybody, it's Humairah and welcome back to my channel.
Hello guys, my name is Nurfatin Nadira.
Hi there, I'm Akmal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. I meet to Madam Zanaria and my fellow classmates. Today, my group and I will be presenting Ethics in Negotiation Part 2. My name is NorFarah Shameera binti Azim, and I am going to talk about deceptive tactics. This is the model of deception in negotiation. It is a simple model of ethical decision making. Firstly, the first negotiator will try to influence a situation between both parties. The negotiator will identify the range of influence tactics that can be done to influence the other party. At this point, the negotiator has set an intention for using deceptive tactics. After that, the negotiator will use deceptive tactics to influence the other party. After the negotiator had used deceptive tactics, he will have the consequences such as the impacts of tactics towards both parties, self-evaluation, and feedbacks from the other negotiator. If he doesn't use deceptive tactics, he will also have the consequences as well. After the consequences, he will explain and justify the identification of fluence tactics that he has been using to influence the other party. What is deceptive? Deceptive means it is likely to make you believe something that is not true. It also means misleading. What is deception? It is the act of deliberately making someone believe something that is not true. Deception also means deceit. What is tactic? Tactic means the particular method you use to achieve something. Why people use deceptive tactics? There are two reasons behind this. The first one is the power motive, and the second one, the other motives to behave unethically. What is the power motive? It is the desire to have impact on other people to affect their behavior or emotions. It is used to increase the negotiator's power in the bargaining environment. Because negotiation is often primarily an exchange of facts, arguments, and logic between two rational information processing entities. So, whoever has better information or uses it more persuasively stands to win the negotiation. Other than that, individuals are more willingly to use deceptive tactics because when the other party is perceived to be uninformed or unknowledgeable about the situation under negotiation, particularly when the stakes are high, so people uses the power motive to influence the other party and to win the negotiation. There are also other motives to behave unethically. The first one is motivational orientation. The second one is negotiators see ethically ambiguous tactics as appropriate to use. And the third one is cultural differences. The first motive to behave unethically is motivational orientation. Whether negotiators are motivated to act cooperatively, competitively, or individualistically towards each other can affect the strategies and tactics they pursue. The second motive is negotiators see ethically ambiguous tactics as appropriate to use. If they anticipate that the other's suspected motivation will be more competitive, for example, if negotiators are competitive towards each other, they will always look to maximize their own outcomes, regardlessly of the consequences for the other party. And they are more likely to use misrepresentation as a strategy to win the negotiation. Last but not least is cultural differences. Individuals in a more individualistic culture, like the United States of America, are more likely to use deception for personal gain than those in a more collectivist culture, like the Israel. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening.
Hello, Assalamualaikum, and good morning to Madam Zana and all of my friends. My name is Muliani Aina binti Marzuki. My metric number is 051762, and today I'm going to continue to the next part, which is the consequences of unethical conduct. Please hear my presentation and bear with me. If you don't understand, I have some question. Please ask after this, okay? So, hi guys. Today, I'm going to continue to the next part, which is the consequences of unethical conduct. What is unethical conduct? Unethical conduct is to deceive or harm others with no overwhelming individual or societal good that outweigh the harm of deceit. What is the meaning of the consequences? The consequences is a result or an effect, typically one that is unwelcome or unpleasant. So today, let us take a look of what consequences of this unethical conduct. So, what are the consequences of this unethical conduct? There are three of them. So the first one is the effectiveness. The second one is the reaction of others. And the third one is the reactions of self. So the first consequences is the effectiveness. If the effectiveness is taken to mean the production of economic benefit, then there is evidence pointing to the effectiveness of deceptive tactics in certain circumstances. For example, misrepresenting one party's interest on an issue that both parties value in the same way can induce concession that leads to favorable outcomes. This most likely to occur when negotiators are focused on individual outcomes rather than seeking mutual benefit. In addition to influencing the other party's perception, a tactic's effectiveness will have some impact on whether it is used in the future. If using this tactic allow a negotiator to attain rewarding outcomes that would be unavailable if he had behaved ethically, and if the others do not punish the unethical conduct, the frequency of unethical conduct is likely to increase because negotiators believe he or she can get away with it. Moreover, when there were also strong pressures on research subjects to compete with each other, such as, for example, announcing how well each person had done on tasks and giving prize to one another with high score, the frequency of unethical conduct increased even further. But you have to remember, the more negotiator engage with this conduct, the more his judgment about ethical standard will be biased. So the next consequences is the reaction of others. This second set of consequences may arise from judgments and evaluations by the person who was the target of the tactic, depending on whether these parties recognize the tactic and whether they evaluate it as proper or improper to use. The negotiator may receive a great deal of feedback. People who discover that they have been deceived or exploited are typically angry. In addition to perhaps having lost the negotiation, they feel foolish for having allowed themselves to be manipulated or deceived by a clever ploy. The victim will also unlikely to trust the unethical negotiators again. They also may seek revenge from the negotiator in the future dealing, and may also generalization of this experience on other negotiation in the future. So guys, it is clear that even unethical negotiator had a short-run reward, but he created a new enemy or an adversary. So last but not least, the third consequences of this unethical conduct is the reactions of self. When the negotiator uses the unethical conduct, he must prepare to defend the tactic used to himself, to the victim, and to the observer. Under some conditions, such as when the other party has truly suffered, a negotiator may feel discomfort, stress, guilt, or remorse. On one hand, while the use of these tactics may have strong consequences for the negotiator's reputation and trustworthiness, parties seldom appear to take these outcomes into consideration in the short term. Negotiators who see no problems with using these tactics may want to use these tactics again. On the other hand, if the tactic has worked, the negotiator may be able to rationalize and justify the use of the tactic. That part will be explained by my friend right after this. Remember guys, these tactics can make you gain power initially, but by the time you will lose power because you will lose your reputation, credibility, and integrity. Before using this tactic, always ask you 3 questions. The first one is, will this tactic really enhance my power? The second one is, what about my reputation? And the third one is, will this tactic affect on my relationship in the future? So, that's all from me. Thank you for listening. I hope you guys are understand. If you don't, please do ask after this. I hope you guys stay safe, stay home, okay? Hope to see you guys soon. Assalamualaikum and bye-bye.
Hello, my name is Sarina Wahyuni binti Junaidi, matrix number 049450. Today, I will be talking about the explanation and justifications for unethical conduct.
When a negotiator has used an ethically ambiguous tactic that may elicit a reaction, as we described earlier, the negotiator must prepare to defend the tactics used to himself, to the victim, or to constituencies and audiences who may express their concerns. The primary purpose of these explanations and justifications is to rationalize, explain, or excuse the behavior, to verbalize some good, legitimate reason why this tactic was necessary. Explanations and justifications help people rationalize the behavior to themselves as well. But there is a risk. We surmise that the more frequently negotiators engage in this self-serving process, the more their judgments about ethical standards and values will become biased, diminishing their ability to see the truth for what it is. The tactics involved may have been used initially to gain power in a negotiation, but negotiators who use them frequently may experience a loss of power over time. These negotiators will be seen as having low credibility or integrity,
and they will be treated accordingly as people who will act exploitatively if the opportunity arises. Good reputations are easier to maintain than to restore once damaged. Next, we will talk about rationalization for unethical conduct. Rationalization for unethical conduct means making an excuse for unethical conduct that had happened. Rationalization as in an excuse for the behavior to explain good and legitimate reason why the tactic done was necessary. This allows the negotiator to convince others, especially the victims, that the conduct that would normally be wrong but in this given situation is acceptable. In total, there are 8 examples of rationalization for unethical conduct, but I will only be explaining 2 of it. The first one is, the tactic was unavoidable. Negotiators frequently justify their actions by claiming that the situation made it necessary for them to act the way they did. The negotiator may feel that she was not in full control of her actions or had no other option. Hence, she should not be held responsible. Perhaps the negotiator had no intent to hurt anyone but was pressured to use the tactic by someone else. The second one is, the tactic was harmless. The negotiator may say that what he did was really trivial and not very significant. People tell white lies all the time. For example, you may greet your neighbor with a cheery, "Good morning, nice to see you," when in fact it may not be a good morning. You are in a bad mood and you wish you hadn't run into your neighbor because you are angry about his dog barking all night. Exaggerations, bluffs, or picking at the other party's private notes during negotiations can all be easily explained away as harmless actions. Note, however, that this particular justification interprets the harm for the actor's point of view. The victim may not agree and may have experienced significant harm or costs as a result. The rest of the examples will be explained by the next presenter. Thank you.
The first motive, to behave unethically.
Negotiator who see no problem with
Afterwards, hence for us to avoid from doing this such that.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day. My name is Siti Humairah binti Mohamed Nasruddin 049949 from Band 4A, and I will be continuing on the rationalization and their explanation.
Hello everybody, it's Humairah and welcome back to my channel. I'm kidding, sorry. I'm just trying to hype up the video, making sure you guys are awake, you guys are alright, are you guys fresh? Come on, we have a lot more to cover, and I'm just trying to do this before getting into my part. Alrighty gang, rationalization for unethical conduct. Well, okay, before that, guys, can we say RUC? I'm sorry, I've been saying it too many times and my tongue just can't handle it anymore. In the time being, RUC, okay? Definition. Rationalization, as in an excuse for the behavior to explain good and legitimate reason why the tactic done was necessary. It's basically something that you explain to somebody to justify what you did, even though something that you did was wrong. This allowed the negotiator to convince others, especially the victim, that the conduct that would normally be wrong but in this given situation is acceptable. RUC example. In total, there are 8 examples of RUC. RUC with their explanation and justification. The tactic was unavoidable. The negotiator would justify their action by claiming the situation made them act the way they did. Negotiator may feel that they were not in full control of their action or had any other options. They feel that they should not be held responsible. Negotiator may have no intention to hurt anyone but was pressured to still use the tactic. The tactic was harmless. People tell white lies all the time. Oh no, you don't look fat in that pants. I'm not mad at all. I'm happy for you. Exaggeration behaviors, bluff, peeking into other parties' private notes during a meeting. All of this can easily be explained as harmless actions, but only from the actor's point of view. The tactic will help avoid negative consequences. Negotiator argues that the ends justify the means. The justification is that the tactic helped to avoid greater harm. Pause. I need to explain something here. The means ends tactic. So basically, anything that the negotiator or actor meant to do can be justified or explained by the end result. For example, it is okay to lie to a robber where you hid the money to avoid getting robbed. See? Negotiator may see lying or any other means and tactic as justifiable if it protects them from bad consequences. The tactic will produce good consequences. The tactic is altruistically motivated. The end justifies the means, just like before, but in a positive sense. Utilitarianism, this word, is a moral theory that an action is in the right if it promotes overall happiness or is beneficial to majority and rejects that cause unhappiness or harm. Negotiator judges a tactic based on of its consequences, acting with the beliefs of utilitarianism. May argue certain kind of lies or means and tactics are appropriate because they result in larger good. In simpler explanation, the quality of any action is judged by its consequences. The greater good, the more appropriate it may be. Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. Okay, on a side note, guys, most negotiator uses deceptive tactic for their own advantage, not for the general good. RUC example number 5. They had it coming. They deserve it. I'm just getting my due. These are variation of using lying and deception. Okay, I know it's kind of scary, but listen, the tactics are mostly done against an individual that have taken advantage of you in the past or against some source of authority, such as the system or the government. For many years, polls have documented an erosion of honesty in the United States. People think it is appropriate to take advantage of the system like tax evasion, petty theft, shoplift, and cheat banks. They were going to do it anyway, so I will do it first. Sometimes negotiator uses a tactic because they expect the other to use the same tactics. A study shows people are willing to use deceptive negotiation if their partner had an unethical reputation. They believe in the need to deceive because the other party is likely to do it as well. He started it. The negotiator rationale is that the other party have already violated the rule. So in this situation, the negotiator claimed their right to violate the other party back. This is kind of like to balance things out, as a payback, a tit for tat manner, eye for an eye. Okay, let's just say unethical tactics are used. The tactic is fair or appropriate to the situation. This tactic uses moral, which is situational relativism, as a justification. In social situations like negotiation are managed by rules of proper conduct and behavior. In this example, there are two types of relativism: the moral relativism and ethical relativism. Example of moral relativism: business is viewed as a game, and in that game, you can do anything you want or whatever it takes, as long as you have a justifiable explanation for what you did, which opposed to ethical relativism. Ethical relativism claims that the wrong things you did or the deceit you did in business are still wrong. So this brings us to the part that I really want to discuss with you guys. Ethical relativism is the idea that moral standard shifts with changing circumstances. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Should the moral standard change if it was in a different situation? And that is all from your girl Humairah, and see you in the next video. Kidding. Okay, let's go to the next presenter. Bye guys.
Assalamualaikum and hello friends. My name is Nurfatin Nadira binti Asri. My matrix number is 049943. So today I'm going to explain more details about the factors that can give influence to the tendency for the negotiators to use unethical tactics. I believe that it is not right for us to use this kind of tactics, but we can see that nowadays many negotiators prefer to use this kind of tactics in their negotiation in order to achieve what they desire without thinking any consequences afterwards. So for us to avoid from doing this kind of tactics, we must know the factors of this matter.
So, there are three factors that can influence negotiators to include unethical tactics in their negotiation. The first one is the demographic aspects of negotiators. The second one is personality differences. And the last one is social context. We will go into this one by one, so stick with me, alright? The first factor, which is demographic factor. I want to ask you one quick question. What is demographic? Based on a website called Investopedia, demographic is the study of a population based on many factors such as age, race, gender, education, nationality, religion, and ethnicity. But in this presentation, I will be more focusing on three demographic factors that we can relate with this topic, which are individual background and traits, religious orientation, and age and experience. So, moving on to the first point in demographic factor, which is individual background and traits. So, in this negotiation world, where we negotiate with other party in order to get what we want, there are good people with strong ethical values able to behave in shady ways without consciously realizing they are doing so. This is because these good people are becoming too greedy for money and driving them deceive other people without thinking next consequences. This happens to most of negotiators nowadays. For example, when we go to the private hospital for a checkup, and the doctor who seems like a very good doctor, like the way he behaved, the way he talked to patient, seems like a very favorable doctor. But then, he treated you and give you medicine more than you're supposed to get, because the more amount of medicine you get, the more amount of price you have to pay. In this situation, we can see that the doctor take advantage of the patient, and the patient didn't even realize it. The negotiator or the doctor did this in order to get what he wants, what he desires, which are money and profits. He doesn't even care about what the patient feels or the impact that the patient will face. What he cares about is the advantage that he will gain. Alright, the next point is religious orientation. As we all know, there are also some negotiators using religion as one of their strategies to achieve profits. They basically use religion to trick people to fall for their temptation. Nowadays, society calls these kind of people as religious riders. I will give you an example in order to make you more understand about this point. In this moment, if we pay attention to the latest news, we can see that our world is facing a huge problem of COVID-19. We are urged to apply hand sanitizer as our protection from getting affected. Since the hand sanitizer practically sold out in most of the drugstore, there are people in our society who decided to sell their own brand hand sanitizer, which is claimed has been ruqyah beforehand. We can clearly see that the negotiator used religion to trick people to buy their product. Is the product really has been ruqyah as the negotiator claimed? We never know. The third point is age and experience. In the negotiation, usually people with less experience in both general and direct work are more likely to use unethical negotiating tactics, whereas people with more experience use ethical negotiating tactics. Why? Why is it happening? This is because negotiators with lack of experience didn't see the upcoming consequences of the action taken. In the other hand, the negotiators with full of experience more alert on every step that they take, as they can see upcoming impact of every decision and action they make in their strategy. And experiences increases together with age. Yes, if we think logically, the older you are, the more experience that you gain. Hence, most of the negotiators that practice unethical tactics usually young in age, as they didn't gain much experience yet. Let's move on to the second factor, which is personality differences. It's divided by two elements, competitiveness versus cooperativeness, and moral development and personal values. For competitiveness versus cooperativeness, the negotiators who interact with competitive partner usually use deceive tactics because they need to compete each other to achieve their main objective and desire, whereas the negotiators who interact with cooperative partner used ethical tactics in order to help each other to achieve the same objective. While for the next point, which is moral development and personal values, the negotiators who are concerned with genuine outcome that meet their desire, especially the rewards and punishment with using unethical negotiation tactics. They don't care about the consequences as long as they achieve their objective, even though by using immoral tactics. And finally, the last factor that we are going to discuss in this subtopic is social context. For this factor, it divided into 4 elements, which I'm gonna go through one by one. The first element that I'm going to explain briefly is past experience. For the negotiators, failure makes them becoming more confident to use unethical negotiation tactics, which is more cunning as they learn from the mistakes which they did in the past. So, when the other party is too naive or trustworthy, the negotiators might take advantage of him or her by misrepresenting the information given. For example, there is one well-known businessman, which I don't want to mention his name, involved in various scandalous cases, and recently he involved with child abuse scandal. He was reported to have abused his adopted daughter, and many people agreed to boycott his product. But then, his mother, who is also a businesswoman, decided to make a live video regarding her son. She expressed her dissatisfaction, but not related to her son's child abuse scandal. She was only focusing on other topic about her son's attitude, but not the child abuse scandal. This shows that her mother, as the negotiator, tried to distract society's attention and cover up the scandal, since our society tend to be too naive and easily to be convinced. The second element is relationship between the negotiators and the opposite party, as the negotiators know that their relationship with the other competitors didn't last long. Hence, they tend to use unethical negotiation tactics without thinking and care about the consequences afterwards. Let's jump to the next element, which is mode of communication. In this modern era, social media, or people call it subnet, becoming one of the main channel in the communication process. So, the negotiators nowadays are more likely to negotiate by using interstitial like social media. They tend to avoid face-to-face with other parties because in that way, more easier for them to get caught in lie. Last but not least, acting as agent versus representing your own views. The negotiators are often to act as an agent and represent others' views in negotiation rather than their own view. This is because others' views play a massive role to catch their trust and get the best possible agreements.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. Okay, my name is Muhammad Akmal bin Asmadi Afand, and we'll be presenting the last part of this presentation, which is how can a negotiator deal with other party use of deception.
Okay, so I will start with verbal strategies to detect deception. So the first strategy is intimidation. So intimidation is for the other to admit that he is using deception by intimidating him into telling the truth. So for example, you can make a no-nonsense accusation of the other, or you can also, for example, like intimidating him by making tight, serious and scary face and hoping that the other party will intimidate by your face and he telling the truth. And then next one is fertility portrayal. So fertility portrayal is emphasize the fertility and impending danger associated with continued deceit. For example, like you say to the other party that the truth will come out someday, or don't dig the hole deeper by trying to cover it up. So okay, that's all. That's for fertility portrayal. And next one is discomfort and relief. So for discomfort and relief, you state the medicine. For example, like confession is good for the soul. Help the other to reduce the tension and stress associated with being a non-deceiver. And then the fourth one is bluffing. So bluffing is that you lie to the other party, make her believe that you have uncovered that the other party is using deception. For example, you say that I know what you are trying to do, or I think you know more than what you are saying. So, but that to indicate that you know what she knows, but you will not discuss it. So that's bluffing. And then the next tactic or strategies is gentle prods. Gentle prod is you encourage the other party to keep talking, so that he give you information that may help you to separate facts and deception. You can ask the other party to elaborate on the topic that been discussed, or you can praise the other party, so to give the other party confidence and support that may lead you to information sharing. So that is for gentle prods. Next is minimization. So minimization is you play down the significance of any deceptive act. Help the other to find excuses for why she was deceptive. And then you minimize the consequences of the action. Indicate that the other has done worse or shift the blames to someone else. So minimization is that you make the significance of deceptive act, any deceptive act smaller. For example, like you shift the blame to someone else, or you minimize the consequences of the action. So that's minimization. And the next one after contradiction is after minimization is contradiction. So contradiction is get the other to tell his or her story fully in order to discover more information that will allow you to discover inconsistency and contradiction and in his comment or reports. For example, you can point and ask the for explanation about apparent contradiction, and you can ask the speaker same question several times and look for inconsistency in his response, and then you can present the contradiction back and ask the speaker to explain. So you can also put pressure on the speaker and get him to slip out or say things that he or she doesn't want to say. So that is for contradiction. Next is altered information. So altered information is you alter the information that you have, and hopefully you can trick the other party into revealing deception. So for example, you exaggerate what you believe is in deception, and then hope that the other party will jump into correct the statement. So that's you can do for example for altered information. The next one is a cheat in the defense. So a cheat in the defense, you can which you try to get the other party to admit that a small or a partial lie about some information, and use this to push for admission of a larger lie. So for example, you say you know that the other party is lying, so you say like if you lie about this one, then how can I know that you are lying about other things? So that is a cheat in defense. So after cheating in defense comes self-disclosure. Another tactic you can use is self-disclosure. So self-disclosure is for the name of the tactic itself. It's you reveal a number of things about yourself, including the honesty on your own part, and then you're hoping that the other will begin to trust you and recooperate with disclosure of the honesty. So after self-disclosure, you point the next tactic after self-disclosure is point of deception cues. So point of deception cues, you point out behaviors you detect in the other that might be an indication that he is lying. For example, like you know that the other party is lying. You see the indication, for example, is that you see the other party is sweating, or he nervous, or he make the change of voice, and also he cannot to make eye contact with you. So, and then you point out those cues, so hoping that the other party will telling you the truth. So next one is concern. So concern is you indicate your concern toward the other party's welfare. For example, like you say that to the other party that the other party is important to you, or you care deeply about the other party. So, or you can also say that you feel the other party pain, for to show your concern about the other party. So, and then you're hoping by doing that, the other party will tell you the truth. So next one is keeping the status quo. So keeping the status quo is you admonish the other party to be truthful in order to maintain her good name. For example, that when you know that the other party is lying, say, if you keep lying, and people will know what you think. People will what people think about you. How you say that his good reputation will go down if people know that he is using this deception. So that is keeping the status quo. And next one is direct approach. So for the name itself, it's just you be direct towards the other party. For example, if you know that the other party is lying, you just say, so just simply be honest with me, or just telling the truth, just tell me the truth. So just be direct, and hopefully the other party will tell you the truth. So the last one for tactics or verbal tactics or strategies in detecting deception is silence. For silence, that you silence, you don't say anything, to create a verbal vacuum that makes the other will feel uncomfortable, and gets him to talk and disclose information. For example, if you know that the other party is telling you a lie or using deception, you just keeping eye contact, make serious face, but remain silent, don't say anything. So that is silence. So that is all for verbal tactics of in detecting deception. So we will move next to the next topic, which is how can negotiator deal with other party use of deception. So now I will start explaining on how can negotiators deal with other party use of deception. So I will start with the first one, which is ask probing questions. So asking questions in negotiating are important, but many negotiators fail to ask enough questions in their negotiation. But asking questions can reveal a great deal of information, which is some information that may be left undisclosed internationally by the other party. So that is the first one. How can a negotiator deal with the use of deception, which is you ask probing questions. So and next is phrase your question in different ways. For example, you want to buy a house, or a house. You want to buy a house, and then the house has air conditioner inside it. So instead of asking if the air conditioner working well or not, you can instead ask when was the last time that the air conditioner is serviced. So by doing that, you maybe will know the information that the other party want to lie on you. So that is the second way you can deal with other party use of deception. So now we will move on to the next way to deal with deception, which is force the other party to lie or back off. So when you are in a negotiation and then you suspect that the other party is being deceptive about an issue or about something, but the other party is not making a clear statement in plain language, you can pose a question that force him or her to tell a direct lie, or else you can just abandon or qualify the assertion. For example, a seller of a piece of property alludes that there are other interest buyer and implies there are other offers. You ask a question about other offers in a clear way that calls for a yes or no answer. So after that is test the other party. So test the other party if for example, if you test the other party. For example, you are not sure with the other party what kind of person that the other party is. So you can ask the other party a question that you already know the answer. For if you got a lie as an answer, so by that you have learned something important about the other party and his or her trustworthiness. So the next one is call the tactic. So call the tactic if that you indicate that to the other side that you know that he or her is bluffing or lying. Do so tactfully but firmly and indicate your displeasure. But keep in mind, spotting lies is not always easy. Mistakenly call the other party a liar and unethical negotiator is certainly not the path to a constructive process and fruitful outcome. So next one is ignore the tactic. So ignore the tactic if, for example, you are aware that the other party is bluffing or lying to you. So you ignore it. You ignore the lie that the party are doing. For if especially the deception is concerned a relatively minor aspect of the negotiation. So for example, like when you know that the other party is lying, you ignore it. For you, maybe you can change the topic so the other party will not continue lying. Okay, after ignore the tactic is discuss what you see and offer to help the other party shift to a more honest behavior. So this is a variation of calling the tactic, but it tries to assure that the other party that telling the truth is in the long term. So this more likely to get him what he wants from than any form of bluffing or deception with. So let's move to the last one, which is respond in kind. So for example, respond in kind, you know that the party is lying, you lie more. If she misinterpret, you misinterpret. But this is not a really good action to do, because this all will simply escalate the destructive behavior and will also drag you into the mud with the other party. But if the other party recognize that you are lying too, she may also realize that the tactic is unlikely to work. So that is all from me and from our group. Have a good day. Selamat Hari Raya. Maaf Zahir dan Batin.